This is a heist for the ages. After an injured Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox kept the Spurs out of the play-in, the chances there now more than ever to trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo. And as recent updates have come out day after day, the most recent odds for landing Giannis outside of staying in Milwaukee belong to the San Antonio Spurs, with reporters saying we can now make a trade for Giannis without Castle, or even draft Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey, number 2 overall. This injured season for the San Antonio Spurs is turning into an absolute gold mine that is setting this team up for years to come, stealing everything, the future from the rest of the NBA. This is an incredible heist. The injuries, they paid off, jumping up to number 2. No matter what, the Spurs are in one of the biggest win-win situations, probably the biggest win-win situation in the entire NBA. We got to break down the latest Giannis Antetokounmpo odds, which are higher than literally ever before. What some people are saying about trades, but even some look into Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, and the Spurs' future payroll as to why everything is building up to something absolutely massive. So we're about to get into all that on this episode of Spurs Digest. Quick reminder though, free subscribe button down below. We got all the latest Giannis news, draft news, all the greatest stuff. This is your home for it. Please hit that button down below because we will keep you up to date. Let's start now. From Evan Siddery. Now, this comes from last night, of course. I want to rehash a lot of what people were saying about these Giannis talks, because look, it's everywhere. We're talking about it. You're talking about it. Your grandmother's probably talking about it. One that doesn't even watch basketball. This is almost on the magnitude of the Luka trade. Probably not there, but this draft lottery has people absolutely fired up, from Dallas fans to San Antonio fans to Houston fans and everything in between. But as Evan Siddery says here, look, the Spurs have a golden asset. We know that. It's the golden egg, the number 2 overall pick. We own a surplus of picks and a compelling core. After trading for De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper's fit in San Antonio isn't strong, and I'm going to get into that in just a second. But look, we even have Don Harris. I think the best part about moving from 8 to 2 is we might just be able to do a package without including Castle. Just thinking out loud. Now, in last video, I said Stephon Castle is not going to get moved, but that's what most mock trades have. And you guys in the comments still said to me, hey, stop even talking about Castle. I'm not, okay, he's done. He's not. I mean, look, I agree. He's not going to get moved. I get it. I hear you guys. Okay, he's not getting moved. I know. But moving this second overall pick. Look, Dylan Harper actually even looks like he could be better than Stephon Castle, which is crazy to say. But regardless, we'll get into that in a second. But I wanted to get into these latest lottery odds. Now, this also comes from Evan Siddery, courtesy of DK Sportsbook here. The Bucks are still minus 145 because at the end of the day, Mr. Antetokounmpo, well, he is not even, well, where is it there? There it is. He has not even officially requested a trade yet. So, you know, we're hearing these rumors about him wanting to go to a state with no income tax, about finally questioning his future with the Bucks for the first time ever, as Shams Charania reported just yesterday morning, the morning of the draft lotto, right? And again, you're saying the Bucks have a lot of financial issues to get through. So with all of that, Vegas believes Giannis, if he's probably going to stay in Milwaukee or he's going to go to Texas. Look at that. Spurs, Rockets, Mavericks. And look, let's be honest. If you're San Antonio and you're like, we'll give you the number 2 overall pick and some other stuff, Dallas might just say, yeah, well, we'll give you Cooper Flag. And look, Nico Harrison, just saying. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if he went and did that to add to his win now core. Giannis, Anthony Davis, and Kyrie Irving is very much a championship contending team. But the Spurs have extra draft picks, which the Mavericks don't have, and we have nice young players, excluding Stephon Castle. Again, Jeremy Sochan's a guy I know we'd like to hold on to, but if it's for Giannis, I don't know. Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, always in these talks. Even a guy like Malachi Branham might not move the needle much, but still, the odds are now in the Spurs' favor more than they ever have been. And again, this just goes back to how much of a steal this season was for San Antonio. Some incredible development for our guys. We get De'Aaron Fox. Fox and Wemby go down injured. We fall well out of the play-in. We could have been pushing for a play-in or a playoff spot had they stayed healthy down the stretch. They didn't. It's just reminiscing of the David Robinson injury, that season where Dominique Wilkins led the San Antonio Spurs in scoring en route to picking Tim Duncan first overall. And it's like, it feels almost like that again. Again, it's the second overall pick this time, but it's absolutely crazy. But look, at the end of the day, I will talk about Giannis in a minute, but it's not just that. Like, even if the Spurs decide to stick with number 2 overall, we got some choices, and we're going to do some more videos breaking down these prospects specifically as we head into the draft. We got Ace Bailey here, of course. Now, there has been some question marks about Ace Bailey. In case you guys didn't know, his official draft combine measurement, I think, had him at 6'7.5" barefoot, and Rutgers listed him at 6'10". So it's actually looking like Ace Bailey is a lot, like, quite a bit shorter than we thought. Your average basketball shoes only had about 1.5 inches, so they were inflating his height. He's a little shorter than we thought. We know the basketball IQ isn't as good as maybe some other guys, but the thing with Ace Bailey is looking at the Spurs roster heading into next year, especially if you move on from someone like a Harrison Barnes, The fit is absolutely there for Ace Bailey. And look, this comes from one article, I think it was Fansided, saying, looking at a current roster, if the Spurs want to move on from Harrison Barnes for a younger player, Bailey can play forward or he can play guard. Lots of potential. And with Wemby and Fox returning, Bailey would have plenty of support. He's not my pick. And I've always, you guys know me, if you've been watching all these videos, maybe you don't. Even if you don't know me, who cares? I'm about to tell you my opinion right now. Pick the best player available. To me, there's no doubt that Dylan Harper is a better prospect than Ace Bailey. And I understand that the Spurs have a logjam of point guards now with, point guard, shooting guard, whatever, combo guards, right? And again, assuming you don't trade, you still have Castle, you still have Fox, and then you will bring in a guy like Dylan Harper, and then you still have Vassell. So it's like, there's a lot of question marks on that front. However, I think, even if you don't trade for Giannis, this is still a heist of a season. I'm going to keep using this word heist because I genuinely feel like the Spurs have robbed the NBA here because, and I feel so good as a fan. Yeah, the first would have been nuts. But again, injuries just give you that extra little bit of odds to move up in the draft. Just that little bit. Maybe it would have been a 10th if we had Wemby and Fox, and we would have never jumped. I mean, the Mavericks jumped from where they were, but regardless, you never know where you're going to be. Those few losses there as we headed towards the end of the season without Wemby, without Fox, this is what led us to this, and it led us to the possibility of bringing in a guy like Dylan Harper, who is unbelievable. Let me roll some highlights for you. Dylan Harper, every time I watch him, I'm more and more convinced this dude's the second best player in this draft. I am convinced, and I want to know your guys' thoughts on this, that Dylan Harper would have gone number 1 overall last year in 2024, and he would have gone over Stephon Castle. I think he projects to be a better prospect than Stephon Castle. They have slightly different strengths, weaknesses, of course, but they do play the same position. And Dylan Harper, of course, 19.5 points a game, 4.6 boards, 4 assists. The three-point shooting wasn't super efficient, but again, you watch this play, the slashing play, he is absolutely absurd. But the big question then becomes, when you have a San Antonio team with so many guards, does this even make sense to draft a guy like this? Again, I'm saying draft best player available, but this is more so why we're seeing these rumors come up over and over and over. I'm even seeing some people say, trade Stephon Castle and you don't even give up the number 2 pick. You keep Dylan Harper and you trade Stephon Castle and Harper replaces him. I'm not for that. I am always also for taking a known quantity over an unknown quantity, unless it's very, very obvious, right? Stephon Castle is unbelievable. I think you got to keep him around Area 51. There's no reason to move on from him, right? None at all. And I know you guys agree with that. But Dylan Harper, again, fits this team very well if there was a gap at the guard spot. But that's why we're talking about this trade, right? You can trade this pick to Milwaukee. They can pick whoever the heck they want. And as the days are going by, these Giannis rumors keep flying. I mean, I've shown you the ones involving Zion Williamson from the Pelicans, but talking specifically again about Giannis, I know some of you still don't even think it's necessary to trade for Giannis. And I also agree it's not necessary. But when we talk about the outcomes for the San Antonio Spurs now, here are our choices. A backcourt of Fox, Castle, and then Dylan Harper. And that is the best backcourt trio in the entire NBA. You have 3 guys who are stars. I mean, Harper's going to get there. Castle is on the fringe of being there. Fox already is. You have that, and then you have Wembanyama, Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, Wembanyama, Dan Fry. You have just so many options. You can even play one of them at the 3, I guess, if you really need to. So you have that. Or you trade the number 2 pick and a few of your prospects, not including Stephon Castle. Then you run De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle. I don't know who you run at the 3. Harrison Barnes, I suppose, if he's not involved. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Victor Wembanyama. You have the best defensive team in the league. You have a team that thrives on the fast break. You have a team that other teams are going to be terrified of 48 minutes out of 48 every single night because you still have depth coming off the bench. Or, you draft someone like Ace Bailey, which is still a win-win, right? You go for a guy like Ace Bailey. Again, there's concerns with him, but he comes into San Antonio, immediately fits perfectly in that backup 3, eventually turns into a starting 3, probably, right? So in theory, your future lineup is De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Ace Bailey, and then whoever, and then Jeremy Sochan probably, and Victor Wembanyama. So no matter what, this season has been just a pure steal for San Antonio Spurs fans and for the organization, because no matter what at this point, there is no lose in a situation here. And maybe the Spurs see someone else as their number 2 pick. I don't know. Regardless, this is insane. We have to prepare for something absolutely massive in San Antonio. And hey, we're here to keep you up to date on all of it, because that'll do it for this episode of Spurs Digest. If you enjoyed, hit that free subscribe button down below. We're pushing for some big numbers and big things this offseason. I know you'll want to stay up to date. I'm your host, Josh Gosse, and I'll catch you in the next one.